If you're having trouble deciding what first web app pen testing certification to do, watch this video. I completed the CWES, formerly known as CBBH by HackTheBox, and the OSWA by OffSec. I ended up passing both of those exams on my first attempt, so I'm well aware of the content and what it takes to actually pass those exams. And in this video, we're going to be comparing both of those certifications. We're going to talk about pricing, the content, and which one of these courses and certifications actually prepares you to do your job better. And at the end, I'm going to add my recommendation and my advice. So starting off with CWES, formerly known as CBBH, throughout this video, I'm going to be calling it CWES just so I don't overcomplicate things on my end. You have two options, the annual billing option and the monthly billing option. For the annual billing option, you have the silver tier and the gold tier. The difference between the silver and the gold tier is just that the gold tier includes some of the senior modules or the senior courses as well. So it's just out of scope and you probably do not need to worry about it if you're doing the CWES. You can just stick with the silver tier. The silver tier also includes other stuff, which is the CPTS course, penetration testing job role path, SOC analyst job role path, and all modules, which are tier 2 pretty much. Additionally, you also get one exam voucher, and each exam voucher is valid for 365 days. And the exam voucher is only for one of these courses, right? So one of these courses, not for each one of them, just one of them. One of these exam vouchers gives you or allows you 2 exam attempts as well. So entirely, the package is pretty good. I would highly recommend it, but I would think it's a bit too extreme, too much, because this is for one whole year. Unless you decide to take multiple of these courses, then yes, it might be worth it. If you just plan to do the CWES, then 1 year is probably a bit too much, because I believe if you try hard and you work pretty hard, and you're always studying, you could probably complete it within 2 to 3 months, honestly. That's around the time frame that I completed it as well. So yeah, the other option is the monthly billing option. And here we have a couple of tiers as well. So yeah, going over here is the student package, which is $8 a month, and we get direct access to Bug Bounty Hunter job role path. They need to change that name over here, and all the other paths over here. This is per student account, and you would need to register with your academic email domain, and all the information is on the left, which I have not read, but I believe your school or college needs to be in HackTheBox's databases or included in their valid academic domains pretty much. So yeah, that's over here as well. That's an option for those of you who are students. It's a possible option for you guys. If you guys are not students, then you do have the $18 a month package over here. You get all the access to all of this as well. So it's pretty good, but if you can tell by these monthly packages and options is that you don't have the exam voucher included. You would have to buy that separate. If you go to, or if you scroll down here, it says exam vouchers, and you have it right over here, the CWES over here. It's $210 and includes VAT. So yeah, that is pretty much it. So if you do complete this within 3 months, so 18 times 3, however much it is, we'll call it $50 or $55. And we can just add 210 to it, includes VAT. Let's just put 300 bucks on it. So that's 300 bucks technically. In that case, it depends on you how much you want to save. If you want to do multiple courses at the same time, multiple of these, it might be better. But there is actually a pro to taking the silver annual instead of the monthly packages, is because of this over here. So as you can see over here, the benefits section, it has the step-by-step module solutions, and as well as yeah, that's pretty much it. It has the step-by-step module solution. So if you're stuck on anywhere, if you're stuck on their exercises or labs, they will literally guide you through it. But if you go to the monthly billing option, that is not included over here. Honestly, I don't really think anyone needs it. I've never needed it anyways. So it's just another option for you guys if you do want to go with the silver annual tier. So yeah, that is pretty much it on this end. So we have an estimated price range. We'll put $300 on it. Probably not going to be the exact value, but we'll call it 300, and now we'll compare it to the OSWA. For the OSWA, you have two options. One is the Course Plus Cert bundle, and the other one is the Learn One bundle over here. The cyber core option over here, we can just completely forget about it because it does not include the OSWA. So we're just going to completely forget about this column over here. So the cheaper option you have is $1,749, and the other one being $1,000 more than that, $2,749. The Course Plus Cert bundle gives you 90 days of lab access. Personally, that is more than enough, even if you are working full time. As long as you're studying consistently, 9 days of lab access should be enough, especially for the OSWA because it's just a more smaller course. It has less content in it. The Learn One provides you with 1 whole year of access, lab access. I think it's a bit too extreme, especially for the OSWA. Yeah, I would say it's not worth it, especially for the OSWA. Honest advice. When it comes to exam attempts, you do have 1 exam attempt for the Course Plus Cert bundle, and the Learn One provides you 2 exam attempts. I see a lot of times people do end up failing the OSWA and have to give another exam attempt. So just for more info, another exam attempt does cost you $250. So you may want to add that to your, cost that could happen. Things that are pros about Learn One is that you have access to proving ground practice. It's just a bunch of boxes for you to practice on, just like how HackTheBox has their own machines. Both of the bundles do provide you access to proving ground plays, which is also a bunch of boxes as well. Personally, I do have access to both, and I still don't know what the difference between both of them are. But yeah, personally for the OSWA, or from my knowledge, there's no actual boxes that exist for you to prep for the OSWA in these 2 areas. So because the OSWA exam is just that unique, and that's why a lot of the time people do the challenge labs twice for the OSWA. And but that's a whole other topic. You guys can watch my video on the OSWA and how to actually prep for it and how to make the exam go much more easier for you guys. The other thing is the Learn One subscription does have the fundamental learning paths included. You do have access to Pen 103 for both of the bundles, but the exam attempt is only available on the Learn One subscription. Kind of useless. You don't really need this. I have access to it, and I have access to an exam attempt, but I still did not give it. I just think that my time could be better used in other stuff. So you do have that there if you guys really do want to actually go ahead and try it. When it comes to the Pen 210, which is the wireless certification by OffSec, the access to it and exam attempt is only available for the Learn One purchasers. So that's there if you guys do want to give it. So if you guys do want to give the OSWP, maybe the Learn One might be better, but if you just want to go for the OSWA, this one would be my advice. When comparing this to HackTheBox stuff, you can see you only have to pay $490 for a year of access, and you get access to a bunch of more courses, and you get your exam voucher has 2 attempts, which is key thing to note. While here you only have 1 exam attempt, 90 days of access, and you're just paying so much, and you don't really have access to courses as good as HackTheBox, such as the SOC Analyst one, the CPTS job role paths, the Junior Cybersecurity Analyst job role paths. Over here, you have access to Pen 203, and that's it. And I don't think you guys should ever be needing this. So yeah, that is to be noted. So we're going to take a look at the content now, because obviously we talked about pricing, and we can see there's a huge difference. And if you're going to offer a course that costs $1,749, you better your syllabus has to be pretty good. Your teaching style or whatever has to be pretty good. So we're going to compare both of them now. When looking at the course syllabus and content, there are some similarities and some differences. When looking at the OSWA, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 modules touching upon about 12 subjects. When we take a look at the CWES, there's about 20 modules, starting off with this: introduction to web applications, web proxies, new information gathering, web fuzzing, JavaScript deobfuscation, cross-site scripting, SQL map, command injection, file uploads, server-side attacks, login brute forcing, broken authentication, web attacks, file inclusion. And these 2 are new modules that have been added. This one, and yeah, the last one. So we'll go one by one and see which are missing and what's the differences. We'll actually use the CWES for this because it has more modules than the OSWA. So when we look at, for example, web request, it barely teaches you web request over here, and the flow of web request and so on. So that's a bonus point for CWES in terms of basic introduction to web applications. Not really taught here. Another points for CWES web proxies. Another thing taught over here and not taught over here. Very important on how to use Burp Suite. Um, Information gathering not taught here, and I highly think that it's a core thing that's missing. Information gathering, a very important module. Web fuzzing. Tools are taught over here and stuff, a bit on how to use them. But having a core module for web fuzzing is much better, I would say. But we'll say it's almost equal over here. But no, I have to give points to CWES just because there's a lot of things about fuzzing. So we're going to give a point to CWES, Java deobfuscation. Not taught over here. Cross-site scripting, we have the same module over here. So that's one equal point for each one. The rest, CWES teaches in more depth. So right now we can say that CWES has more fundamental knowledge, which is crucial when learning web application enumeration techniques. And yeah, when it comes to SQL injection fundamentals, it is taught over here, SQL injection. These two kind of go in hand. Database enumeration kind of teaches you how to flow through a database, and then SQL injection goes a bit beyond that, where it teaches you now how to manipulate those queries and stuff like that. But SQL injection fundamentals, this we could say is a more difficult portion. It's on the medium-sized difficulties, so it kind of combines both of them. Um, but learning database enumeration is not extremely difficult. You can find that anywhere. But yeah, I would have to say for the basic part in this case, OSWA actually kind of teaches you more database enumeration basics. We can actually go ahead and click this just to confirm that. SQL injection, basics of databases and different types, basics of SQL and MySQL, basic statement and operation. Never mind, they actually teach you both of it. Sorry, I probably just forgot. Um, so let's see now. Let's go back over here. Yep, SQL injection. It covers both of this in one module, pretty much. So we're gonna give it equal points. SQL map, it's not taught over here, and it is allowed on the OSWA exam, but they did not teach it. So that's a point for CWES, command injection, taught here, and yeah, file upload attacks, not taught here. Server-side attack, they do have server-side request forgery, which is taught over here. They have server-side template injection, which is taught over here. And this also includes SSI, includes injection attacks, which is not taught over here. Login brute forcing, not taught again in OSWA. Broken authentication. If I remember this module, let's see what it has. Forcing authentication, yeah, okay, yeah. Definitely not taught in OSWA. Web attacks, XXE is taught, IDOR is taught, HTTP verb tampering is not taught in OSWA. File inclusion, this goes in hands with direct traversal and it actually goes way beyond that. Attacking GraphQL, not taught. API attacks, not taught. Common application attacks, not taught. And bug bounty hunting process, not taught. Or yeah. So as you can see, there's a lot of things which CWES does cover for the OSWA. The only thing that the OSWA has a big up on is for a course. This thing over here, I would say I learned some decent stuff, which was not taught in the OSW or CWES course. But besides that, I would say from my experience is that CWES covers more basics and it actually goes into more depths than the OSWA, much more depth. And I'm going to talk a bit more on that. So as penetration testers, you're going to encounter unique situations where you don't know a specific web application or what a specific software does. In these types of scenarios, you're supposed to do a lot of research and understand the technology you're working with, look for exploits, and so forth. This is kind of the approach that OffSec takes in teaching you. They don't really tell you everything that exists and lets you do the research and find out for yourself. So if you're ever stuck on an OffSec exam, you probably need to do some research in some scenarios. um, the Hack the Box course kind of takes a different approach. They kind of give you everything that you need in your arsenal, a lot of it, majority of it, right? And from there on, if you do encounter anything unique, yes, you do have to do some research and whatever, but they already give you a lot of it already. So that's the good thing about Hack the Box and CWES. And I'm going to give you a little example. We're going to take a vulnerable or a fake web application that exists, right? Or a non-existent web application, we'll say. And we're going to do some command injection. We have our vulnerable web application right over here, and it says which host you would like to ping. So if we were at 127.0.0.1, we see that we get the output of that command that we executed, and we can see the command that's executing is ping-c1 and the host that we want to ping. So a command injection, for example, the way that OffSec would teach it, it would only give you a couple of techniques that you would have in your arsenal. For example, the semicolon we can use to execute the command ID, and now at the bottom we see that the ID command is executed. Maybe ID or maybe the semicolon is filtered and we can't run it. And we have now another thing in our arsenal, which is the pipe. This will automatically just run our ID command and we have our output. Now, say if both of those are, restricted, we would have to do some research. Whereas if you study the CWES, you already have about several of these techniques already in your pocket. And if you have that, you basically save almost an hour or however long it takes you to do your research for whatever it is, and you're able to more quickly navigate through it. So something that CWES would teach, maybe this command over here. And voila, it did run our command at the bottom over here. Say that the ID command is now blacklisted and we can't run this specific command. So maybe there's another technique over here that we could use. Just add 2 single quotes and it still works. So these types of techniques and these more advanced techniques, I would say, is taught more by CWES, and it should be kind of known by everybody in a sense. So this is where I would lean towards more the CWES. And I would also say that it's because of the CWES that passing the OSWA was very, very, very easy. And if you go to my OSWA video on how to pass it, I mainly recommend CWES modules to practice certain topics. Between both of the courses that we covered, which one actually teaches you to do your job? The answer to that is both of them do. However, one of the courses actually teaches you to do your job better than the other, which is the CWES. It has many more modules than the OSWA, and it actually teaches you more advanced techniques and things that you would actually need in your attacking arsenal when you're doing your web app pen testing. And not to mention that it's also way much cheaper than the OSWA. I wanted to point out other certifications that do exist, one of them being the PWPA by TCM Security. Personally, I've never given any of TCM Security courses or certifications a try, so I can't really speak much about them. However, I do know another YouTuber whose name is Kaiser Clark. You guys can check him out if you want. I should have a link to his YouTube channel in my description if you guys want to check him out or whatever. But he's done the PWPA and then went on to doing the OSWA. So that's there. Another certification is the BSCP, which is by Burp Suite. And as we all know, Burp Suite is the tool that we use for our web app pen testing. So this company does have some brand recognizability. So that is there as well. Now, final recommendation and thoughts are that you guys should take the CWES. And if your company is paying for it, then go for the OSWA. I believe that because the OSWA being so expensive, there are probably another certification that is out there which will give you more value when getting and landing a job So if you don't have, for example, the OSCP, you might want to not buy the OSWA and just buy the OSCP and go for the CWES. And you should have a pretty good knowledge of web regardless. Me personally, since I did the CWES and then went on to doing the OSWA and I paid out of pocket, it was pretty bad decision and I kind of regret it. I felt that I could have spent the OSWA money on something else, such as the OSEP, um, but I didn't do that and I didn't gain anything out of the OSWA except a couple of new things that I learned from the course module and a bit of extra things from the cross-site scripting modules, but definitely not worth all of that money that I paid for. So yeah, that is it for this video. If this video helped you, please make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's pretty helpful. And yeah, I'll see you for the next one.